What's going on, everyone, on Avina Vlogs? Welcome to my April book wrap-up and my May TBR list. I know what you're thinking. Anthony, it's already the middle of May. May is almost over, literally. What are you guys doing? What are you thinking? First of all, shut up. I'm just kidding. Actually, it's been such a busy time for me. If you guys haven't been following my blogs or my Snapchat or Instagram or anything, I recently did a wedding shoot, and our business is really booming right now. I am going to be a wedding videographer, and well, a videographer in general, but weddings are really in demand right now. I have been so busy that I haven't really had a time to sit down and get this stuff done for you guys. So today, I wanted to take the time to at least film, and this video might be going up even closer to the end of May. Who knows? But I wanted to at least share with you guys what my reading list is looking like. Some of the May TBRs are already read and done, but I'm still going to share them with you. So first, let's start with my April 2016 book wrap-up. Tales from Shadowhunter Academy by Cassandra Clare. This was a 10-story short story collection telling a continuous story of our favorite mundane turned vampire, now aspiring shadow hunter, Simon, and his story, Simon Lewis, if you guys don't know, from the Mortal Instruments series. He is going to the recently reopened Shadowhunter Academy in hopes of becoming a shadow hunter, which is a deadly process if you are not worthy of becoming a shadow hunter. So it tells the story of him struggling in this new school, trying to gain the skills and become worthy to ascend to a shadow hunter. It gives a lot of history lessons about the shadow hunters themselves, delves into some untold stories from those prequel books, the Clockwork Angel and Prince and Princess books. It's a wonderful read. And, you know, by themselves, they're very fast, but when you put them all together, all 10 stories, it's really, really long. And it's, you know, full of great character development that kind of both explores the past and continues the story after the Mortal Instruments series. So, highly recommended. I hope you guys, if you guys like the young adult book genre, go read these 10 short stories. They're amazing. I also read a novella this month called Extremist, which is a Hellbound prequel by David McCaffrey. This is actually an original work that tells the story of one of many possible outcomes or theories surrounding Jack the Ripper. In this story, which, full disclaimer, I got from a book publicity group that I'm a part of called Book Lover Cat Lady Production or Publicity. It tells the story of Jack the Ripper in 1888. It tells the story about one of the men who's, you know, in real life could have been one of or could have been Jack the Ripper. It tells the story about like his brutal thought process, the way he went about the killing. It also tells the story of a conspiracy from a group of men to use Jack the Ripper's exploits to further their own gains, and how they go about trying to reel him in after he's kind of set loose in, you know, the world. It's a great book. It really does a great job of setting up the big conspiracy that's revealed in this novel, Hellbound. It's a great series. Highly recommend it. David McCaffrey has such an amazing voice that he writes with, so real and visceral that you guys will not want to miss it. And it is definitely a adult horror book, so make sure check this out. In Extremis, a Hellbound prequel. So I also read the first book in Cassandra Clare's new Mortal Instruments series, which is called The Dark Artifices. The book is called Lady Midnight. It is book 1 of the Dark Artifices series, and definitely a Shadowhunter novel. This kind of continues the story of characters introduced in the last Mortal Instruments book. It tells the story of Emma Carstairs and Julian Blackthorne and their family. They are parabody. They are bound by life or for life. Emma is still looking for her parents' killers from the last Mortal Instruments book. And Julian is kind of struggling as he is in charge of his family after his parents' death, or his father's death. He is kind of in charge and taking care of his siblings. But things get very complicated when both humans and fairies start turning up dead in Los Angeles, and it's up to them to figure out who is behind the murders. What makes things even more complicated is when Julian's brother, Mark, who has been captured and used as a soldier for the fairies for the last 5 years, returns when the fairies want him to investigate as well. It's very complicated. He has spent, a long time in the employ of the fairies. He's half Shadowhunter, half fairy, and a lot of things happen plot-wise that you're not going to want to miss. Some great, shocking developments. A great new romance blooms, and this is definitely feels like the Shadowhunter novels are maturing in their content, because the audience that started the Mortal Instruments series is maturing as well. So if you love the young adult genre again, I highly recommend Cassandra Clare is a fantastic author, and you won't want to miss the first book in this new series, Lady Midnight. Next is one of my favorite, or is probably my favorite author of all time. He has a brand new book that came out on paperback called Finders Keepers. It is actually the second book in the Bill Hodges trilogy. The third book, End of Watch, is coming out this summer. Finders Keepers continues the story of Detective Bill Hodges and his two, assistant detectives. They have their own private detective agency now. After the events of Mr. Mercedes, they have their own agency and are working cases. A young teenage boy finds a trunk filled with unpublished manuscripts for an author who's long been dead. What he doesn't realize when he finds the books is that they were put there by the author's killer, who killed him and took the manuscripts, but was put in jail for another crime before he had a chance to do anything with it. Right around the time that he starts thinking about selling these manuscripts, the boy soon comes face to face with the killer after the killer is released from prison. And a very deadly game starts to play out that threatens the boy's life, his family's life, and the lives of Bill Hodges and his companions as they get involved to help this boy survive. It's a very deadly game. This killer in the book definitely very, very evil, and what I really love is that it also kind of sets up the third book and the return of the deadly Mercedes killer from the first book. It's a great thriller. It's a great murder mystery. Well, not really a murder mystery, but sort of a murder mystery. You'll have to read it to find out what I'm talking about, but it's a phenomenal piece of fiction. Stephen King just excels in everything he does. He really is the master of suspense and horror, and it is not a book you want to miss. So, Finders Keepers by Stephen King, 2 thumbs up. Go get your copies today. Now, this next book, I want to have a big disclaimer because I am very sensitive to the audience, who reads these books and who might watch my videos. You guys might know. This book is called Don't Say a Word by Jennifer James. It is phenomenally written, a great thriller, highly recommended. But for anyone who might be, let's say, triggered, who may have dealt with things in the past, and I'm just gonna say them because I don't want you guys to pick up the book and read it and then get triggered yourself. Anything to do with mental health or instances of cutting, and I'll just leave it at that. This book might trigger that because it does focus heavily on these story aspects. Now, it's written in a way to help explain these things more to the wider audience who might not be familiar with it. And it's not portrayed in a negative way, like putting anyone down for doing it. But I don't want you guys to be triggered, so I'm just going to say that right out the gate. Just so you guys know. So, besides that, the book is really well written. It continues the story of Allie Callahan, who is now a young mother and is living a life where she's kind of trying to get past the events of her past. Her mother and brother were both serial killers. She's afraid that she's going to inherit some sort of disease that they had. And while she's doing this, another murder occurs in her town, or near her town, and the woman that she's been living with, that's been kind of her caretaker since she was a teenager, takes in these two young girls who may have witnessed their parents' murders. And it's a very interesting cat and mouse game, trying to find out who the killer is, especially when strange phone calls start happening with heavy breathing, and strange people start showing up. It's a really on the edge of your seat kind of thriller, and it's very interesting to see the final outcome is not what people will be expecting. At least I don't think so. Very well written. Jennifer Janes is a phenomenal author, fantastic even, and I highly recommend you read the book. But like I said, just be careful of those trigger storylines. But if you're okay with those kind of storylines, you think you can handle it, highly recommend the book. It's really, really well written. The final book that I read in April is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. A lot of you guys probably know this book is being turned into a movie this year with Emily Blunt. It's kind of in the same vein as Gone Girl. Extremely popular right now, really well written. The story follows a young woman, or a woman, who is going through a tough time in her personal life. And on one of her daily trips on the train, she witnesses something for just a brief second. And later on, it turns out what she witnessed may be connected to a crime. And she tries to get involved to help people, and because she feels some sort of connection or pull to the story. But unfortunately, people don't believe her. Some things happen in her personal life that make her story uncredible to the police. And a lot of things start to happen that makes it so that anyone introduced as a character in this book could be responsible for a crime that may have been committed. Was someone killed? Was someone not killed? Is the victim, or the possible victim, good? Or do they have some shady stuff in their past? Who do you trust? That's the kind of story that this book tells. It takes place in London and the surrounding areas of London. Very, very well written. It's a great thriller, and until the final pages, you really leave yourself questioning who is responsible for whatever is happening, and did what happened really happen the way everyone thinks it did. You just don't know. So, The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins is one of the best thrillers I've read this year. Highly recommended. Alright, so my May TBR list is going to include You're Never Weird on the Internet, already read, but really well written, memoir by Felicia Day. It is also going to include Captain America, The Death of Captain America, The Man Who Bought America by Ed Brubaker. Very, very well written graphic novel. It's also going to include Deadpool Volume 1, Dead Presidents by Brian Posen and Gary Dugan. I am going to be reading more comic books, so I hope you guys are going to be cool with me talking about comic books, because I love them. I'm also going to be reading a book called Rest Haven by Eric Thurme, and I'm going to be reading a book called Curse of the Sphinx by Ray Wagner, which is a book. I believe I saw a book, Utopia, or Sasha Alsberg. She talked about it on her channel on YouTube, and I believe the Peruse Project. I hope I'm saying that channel name right. I saw them talking about this, and they may have talked with the author. The book seems very, very interesting, and I'm going to be reading those books as well. So that's my May TBR list, and thank you for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. In the comments left down below, let me know what book sounds the most interesting for my book wrap-up, and let me know what books I should read next. If there's any books I didn't mention for May, or even upcoming in June that you want me to read, leave your comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a big thumbs up. Like this video, comment on it, favorite it, and share it. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. It means so much to me if you did. And click that eye in the sky for today's recommended videos, playlists, and more. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time on a brand new video. Long days and pleasant nights, my friends.